Hello everyone, my name is Arena, and today, I want to share the story of my mother-in-law, Sara. She is the quintessential nightmare mother-in-law, determined to push me out of her son's life. Did her plan work? No, but she certainly tried. Since you all love mother-in-law stories, I thought my experience might entertain you, and if you ever find yourself in a similar situation, offer some advice. David, my now husband, and I dated for 4 long years. We met through a mutual friend, and the rest is history. He is a wonderful and handsome man. I was surprised to find him single and soon understood why after we started dating. He gave me a small warning saying, "I want you to meet my mom, but I'm not sure how she'll react. It's not about you, Arena, or us. It's her. She doesn't like it when I bring a woman home." Seriously. But you're past 20. Why would she have a problem with that? I asked. Well, I grew up with my mom alone since my father left before I was born. She's fixated on me and gets jealous when another woman comes into my life, he explained. That small warning didn't prepare me for the reality. Sara was a mad woman, and I don't know how to put it politely. When David finally took me to meet her, she didn't talk to me or even look at me during the entire dinner. It was incredibly embarrassing and awkward. David tried to include me in the conversation, but Sara just ignored me and changed the topic. When I asked her something directly, she would stay quiet and only talk to her son, determined to show me my place. David apologized 1,000 times after we left over the phone since he had to drive his mom home. Did I mention he lived with her? Yes, Sara would pull health scare stunts and cry a river whenever he wanted to move out. My poor husband was conditioned to prioritize his mom over everyone else. As our relationship progressed, Sara became even more hostile. She kept telling David to break up with me and resorted to all kinds of manipulation, including blackmail when I asked him to move in with me. I could write a novel about her antics. I endured her horrible behavior because I loved David and he loved me too. Things got worse after we got married. On our wedding day, Sara walked up to me and said, "Don't be so happy, Arena. This marriage will not last a year. I will make sure of it." What? What are you saying, Sara? Who says things like this at a wedding? I asked, shocked. I don't care about your stupid wedding. You will never steal my son away from me. I can promise you that. I will make sure this marriage dissolves, and then I will have my son back where he belongs, she retorted. David loves me, and I love him too. Don't you want your son to be happy, Sara? I pleaded. My son was perfectly happy with me. He didn't need you in his life. I don't care how you managed to trap him, but you won't be here for long. I won't allow some woman to take over my son. I am and will be the only woman in his life. I hope you remember that, she declared. Her words made me cry on my wedding day. As if that wasn't bad enough, she also cut up my wedding veil and threw out my flower bouquet. It was a disaster, but David and I still got married. He tried to get his mom to apologize, but that apology never came. What was worse was that we had to live in Sara's house after the wedding. On our wedding night, I cried to David. I can't do this, David. I love you and really want this marriage to work, but I can't stay here. I can't have Sara in our lives. I'm so sorry for my mother's mistakes, Arena. You know I'm the only one she has. I cannot cut her off. Please understand my situation, he begged. Sara will make my life hell in her house. Can't you see that? I will be miserable here. I already am, I said. I promise I will figure out something about the living arrangements. I won't let you suffer for long. Please just give me some time, David assured me. David kept his promise. Within 3 months, he accepted a job opportunity in another country. The pay was exceptionally good, and he decided to take it. Sara wasn't happy and threw some major tantrums, but she calmed down when David said she could come and visit. He flew out soon, while I was set to join him a month later. Thankfully, during that month, Sara ignored me a lot. She never talked to me and kept to herself. I thought maybe I could have a quiet month before leaving for good and worry about Sara coming later. Fate had other plans. Just a few days before my flight to join my husband, I had a strange feeling when I saw Sara sneak into my room. She thought I wasn't there, but I was actually in my closet with the door half closed so she couldn't see me. Imagine my surprise when I saw Sara sneak into my room while I was quietly packing my stuff. I stayed silent and observed her. When I saw Sara reach for my bag of documents and take out my passport, I was immediately on alert. She took my passport and happily left the room. I came out of the closet, trying to make sense of what I had seen. I went to the living room and overheard my mother-in-law discussing her evil plan with a friend on the phone. I was shocked to learn what she intended to do with my passport. I quickly went to her room and saw my passport lying in a black pencil case. Something came over me, and I replaced my passport with hers. Then I went back into my room and called David. Your mother just tried to burn my passport, David. She came into my room and took it, thinking I wasn't there. I overheard her plan while she was telling a friend on the phone. Whoa, what are you saying, Harina? Mom tried to ruin your passport? This can't be true. Of God, it can't be true. It is true, David. I wish it wasn't. I have my passport safe with me, but I replaced it with hers. I wanted to give you a heads up about it. My mom can't do this, Harina. I'm sure she'll come back out. Why don't we find out? I will make sure I have proof. In the meantime, I knew David would have a hard time believing the truth. It was his mother after all. I didn't blame him and knew I could prove everything. Sara liked to boast, and she would eventually spill the beans to make me sad. It was only a matter of time. I made some plans and quickly packed my stuff, waiting for an out to leave this place for good. The next morning, Sara seemed to be in a good mood. She was cheerful and kept giving me smirks. I knew this was the time to use her cocky behavior against her. I sat down and said, "Hey Sara, have you seen my passport anywhere? My flight is in 3 days, and I cannot find it anywhere." "Ah, your passport. I think I know where it is," she replied. "Oh really, Sara? Thanks for finding it. I must have misplaced it. Can you give it back to me?" I asked, knowing full well where my passport was. I was just baiting her to spill the truth. Sara took the bait without suspicion. She looked at me and laughed before saying in the meanest voice she could muster, "No, I can't, Arena. I have destroyed your passport so that you cannot live with my son in another country. It has been burned to ashes. Now you will be forced to stay here while I go and help my son build his life there. Things will be just like they were before you came into the picture." "Oh really, Sara? You think it would be that easy to remove me from my husband's life? Have you forgotten that I am not just his girlfriend anymore? I am his wife. Divorces happen to a lot of people, Arena. Not all marriages are meant to last a lifetime. It will be easy for me to get rid of you now. I will be around David a lot while you sit here, unable to do anything. In a few months, I will convince him to leave you, and then there will be nothing holding us back. I won't allow him to bring in worthless people to replace me again." The way Sara had planned this entire thing was disgusting and amusing at the same time. She was so hell-bent on being the only woman in her son's life that she was ready to do anything. All this time, she had been quiet because she was planning this whole thing. It was impressive how fast she could come up with a plan to destroy my marriage and her son's life. She was confident that her son would listen to her and divorce me straight away. I could see why she would think that, after all, they would be far away from me and I would rarely be able to visit. By the time I got my passport back, it would be too late. It was a brilliant plan, but there was a big flaw in it that she didn't consider. So I decided to enlighten her. "That's a nice plan you've got there, Sara. I'm very impressed, but it is not going to work. Sure, you did destroy a passport, but—" "Oh yes, you can always get a new one, but it will take months. I just need a little time to convince my son. After that, no passport will be able to help you." "Why would I need a new passport, Sara? My passport is perfectly capable of doing its job. But I don't think yours can anymore. So it looks like now you can't go live with your son." "Excuse me? What are you talking about?" "I have my passport and plane tickets ready. I will be leaving in a few days." "You can't do that if you don't have your passport with you, Sara. Meanwhile, I have my passport just fine," I said, pulling out my own passport and showing it to her. It was authentic and it was mine. I showed her my passport but didn't let her touch it. I wasn't going to be that stupid. I let her see it and watched as her face showed complete confusion. It was like she couldn't comprehend how my passport had come back from the grave and was in my hands. She looked shocked and said, "Wait a damn minute. How is that possible?" No, this must be fake. I destroyed your passport with my own hands. I made sure it was burned to ashes. This can't be real." "Unfortunately for you, Sara, my passport is in perfectly good condition. Not a single flame of fire has touched it, but I can't say the same for yours." "What are you talking about, Arena? My passport is also perfectly all right. Wait, I'll get it and show you." Sara went to her room to retrieve her passport. She left in haste and looked confident. But when she came back a few minutes later, she looked panicked and scared. What the hell, Irina? Where is my passport? Did you steal it? This is not funny, Irina. Give me my property back. You can't do this to me. I didn't take your passport, Sara, but I do know what happened to it. Tell me where my passport is. Tell me right now. You burned it with your own hands, Sara. Have you forgotten what happened last night? You took your passport out, put it in the fireplace, and watched it burn. You looked really happy back then. No, that can't be my passport. That's not possible. That can't be mine. I checked. Yes, you checked when you stole my passport and took it to burn, but in your haste, you forgot to check it one more time before throwing it into the fire. Thankfully, I knew what you were up to and quickly swapped my passport with yours. It was easy. You had it right beside mine. Sara looked like I had shot her in the chest. She clutched her chest and appeared about to have a panic attack, and I was in no mood to help her at all. She looked stricken with panic and fear, tears in her eyes, and didn't know what to do. You monster! How could you do this to me? Oh my God, how will I get to my son? Wow, Sara, it's okay for you to destroy my passport, but I'm a monster because I replace it with yours? That's rich coming from you. Also, I don't think you need to worry about joining your son anymore. What? What are you talking about? This is not over. I will get a new passport and tell my son what you have done. I will do everything in my power to make you pay for this. A replacement passport won't do you much good, Sara. I don't think your son will want you to come to his place anymore. David would like to say something on this matter. I picked up my phone and turned up the call volume. Sara thought I would confront her without having a witness. Well, that wasn't going to happen. So I called David and put him on speaker. I also made sure to tell him to mute the call while turning down the call volume so Sara wouldn't know someone was on the phone. It worked wonderfully. Sara went from looking angry to crying when she heard my husband say, "What the hell, Mom? What the hell did you try to do? I just wanted to come see you, and look, your wife has destroyed my passport intentionally. She wants to separate you from me." "Oh no, Mom. That won't work on me anymore. She didn't do anything. You are the one who destroyed the passport, and you are the one who tried to ruin my marriage by separating me from my wife. Although I am surprised to hear that you think you can convince me to leave Irina. I love her, and nothing will make me divorce her." Sara knew she had been caught. She was in a tight spot with no idea how to get out of this situation, so she started to justify her actions. And oh God, her excuses were just hilarious. They just showed how deranged and crazy she was. She started to sob and said, "David, son, you need to understand why I did it. She really does want to separate me from you. Do you remember how happy we were when it was just the two of us? She came and destroyed everything. You moved away to get away from Irina." "No, Mom, I moved away to get away from you. Everything was perfect until you started to mess up my marriage and tried to kick Irina out of my life. I told you multiple times that I am happy with her, but your selfishness didn't let you choose your son's happiness over yours. What kind of a mother are you?" "David, don't say that, dear. You're breaking your poor mother's heart. Irina is poisoning you against me. Irina has been nothing but patient with you. You don't get to blame your evil deeds on my innocent wife. God, I don't know how you could do this to your own son. You know what? I don't even care anymore. Irina is right. I don't want you to come here. If you do, I will throw you out. I want nothing to do with you anymore." Hearing this, Sara started to bawl. She was slowly becoming uncontrollable while she begged David to forgive her. She was desperate to get back into his good graces and started to make up stories about how I was abusing her at home. David knew that all those stories were lies and said so himself. My dear mother-in-law kept crying and pleading with David not to do this to her. Meanwhile, my friends arrived at the door, ready to move my packed stuff to their house. There was no way I would stay with Sara any longer. I would be gone that day itself. They started to haul my stuff into their trucks while Sara continued to bawl in front of the phone. Finally, David said, "Irina, do you have your stuff out of the house?" "Yes, I do, David. Don't worry, your mother will not be able to destroy anything of mine anymore." "Good. Now go with your friends and stay there till your flight. Leave Mom be and don't entertain her anymore. I'm hanging up. Call me when you are out of the house." Sara heard our interaction and started to panic again. She looked like the deranged woman she was. She said to David on the phone, "David, son, please don't do this. Don't abandon me here. Please forgive me. Stop, Mom. Just stop. I don't want to listen to you anymore. Lose my number, Mom. I don't want to see you or hear from you again. I will be blocking your number on all forms of communication. Arena will do the same, so don't try to harass her. David, please don't do that. I can't even reach you anymore. I can't clutch your feet and beg. Please don't shut me out. Let's talk this through. We have done plenty of talking before, Mom. Not anymore. You are an independent woman who can live without your son, and I am an independent man who can live without his mom. We don't need to be in touch anymore. Don't bother. David said that and ended the call. Sara panicked and ran to her own phone to try and call him. We took that opportunity to run for the hills. We all got into the truck and drove far, far away from Sara and her craziness. I called David on my way and he picked up instantly. I'm out of the house, David. I'm safe. Don't worry. Thank God. I'm so sorry, Arena. I never should have left you there. Even if Mom had destroyed your passport and come here first, her words wouldn't have swayed me. I wouldn't have divorced you. You know that, right? Yes, I know that, David. I trust you. Speaking of Sara, I take it that she is blowing up your phone. Yeah, she is. Don't worry, she's blocked, and I am going to inform everyone in the family about her latest deeds. Trust me, everyone will be on our side. Just be careful for the next few days and fly here as soon as possible. I flew down to David a few days later. My flight was exactly 3 days later, and I reached David the next day. I was careful not to go out much and enjoyed the peace and quiet at my friend's place. I couldn't take all my stuff to the new country, so I asked my mom to come and collect it. She would rent a U-Haul and take my stuff to her city. My friends were a big help and managed to keep Sara away from me until I left. Since then, David and I were able to settle and just fine, and we're thrilled to start our new life. It feels good to be close to my husband after being away for so long. Now, I'll tell you what happened to my dear mother-in-law after I left her alone. She kept trying to contact me and David, and we kept blocking every new number she bought. The extended family was already informed about her obnoxious behavior, and they all cut her off. I don't blame them, who would want to keep in touch with a psycho like that anyway. Sara filed for a replacement passport and came to our country, but she doesn't know our address, so it was a waste of time. She did show up at David's workplace and was escorted out by security. She threw such a big tantrum that the cops were called, and she was promptly sent back to her country. She won't ever get a visa here again, so we will be free from Sara.